Okay, let's just get right into it, because this is a question that pops up all the time in project meetings. What does a business analyst actually do? Are they a project manager, a tech guru, or something else entirely? Well, today, we're going to break it all down. To really get what a BA does, let's start with a feeling I'm sure we've all had. Have you ever been on a project that just went completely off the rails? It started out with so much promise, but it ended up late, way over budget, or worst of all, just wasn't what anyone wanted. Yeah, it's a classic and super expensive problem. So why does that happen so often? 9 times out of 10, it's a massive communication breakdown. The business side knows exactly what problem they want to solve, but somehow what the development team ends up building is, well, something else entirely. It's like a giant game of telephone, and that gap between what's wanted and what's built is exactly where projects go to fail. And this is exactly where the business analyst, or BA, steps in. The official definition calls them a liaison, but I think it's easier to think of them as a translator or a bridge. Their whole job is to stand in that gap, understand what the business really needs, and translate that into a clear plan that the technical teams can actually build. They make sure everyone's speaking the same language. Now, this isn't just about being a good communicator. Not at all. A great BA has a very structured playbook they follow. So let's open it up and look at the 6 core areas that guide pretty much everything they do. This comes from the industry standard known as the BABOK, or the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. These 6 areas really cover the whole journey. It all starts with planning and monitoring, basically figuring out the game plan. Then comes elicitation and collaboration, which is just a fancy way of saying getting information out of people's heads. After that, they have to manage all that info. That's requirements lifecycle management. They also do strategy analysis to make sure they're aligned with the big picture goals. Then they dig into the details with requirements analysis. And finally, they circle back for solution validation to make sure the thing that got built actually works and delivers value. Okay, to make that even simpler, you can just think of it like this. First, you plan your investigation. Then you elicit or gather all the clues from everyone involved. You analyze those clues to figure out what really needs to be done. Then you manage all that information so nothing gets lost. And finally, you validate that you actually solved the original problem. See? It's a really logical flow from a big idea to a real solution. Okay, so we know BAs have a process, but how do they actually do it? How do they pull the right information from the right people? Well, this is where they turn into detectives. They have a toolkit of techniques they use to uncover the real story, the real needs. Let's look at a few of the most common ones. First up, you've got the classic one-on-one interview. This is the BA's chance to really sit down with an expert and just dig deep. It's absolutely perfect for understanding a single person's point of view and getting those nitty-gritty details you'd never find in an email or a document. But what about when you need to get everyone on the same page, like right now? That's where workshops are amazing. It's all about collaboration. You get all the key players in a room together, and the BA facilitates a session to build consensus, hash out disagreements, and create a shared vision way faster than a dozen separate meetings ever could. Now, this one is so important. Sometimes what people say they do and what they actually do are 2 totally different things. Observation, or job shadowing, lets a BA see how work really gets done. This is where they uncover all the little workarounds and hidden problems that people might not even think to mention in an interview. So, after all that detective work, the interviews, the workshops, the BA is sitting on a mountain of information. Their next job is a big one. They have to translate all of it into a clear, structured language that everyone can agree on, from the executive sponsor to the newest developer. And that language is the language of requirements. So what exactly is a requirement? Simply put, it's a clear statement of a need. But here's the most important part. It has to be testable and verifiable. You can't just say, the app should be user-friendly. That means nothing. A good requirement says the user must be able to complete checkout in 3 clicks or less. See the difference? One's a wish, the other is a clear instruction you can actually build and test against. And it turns out not all requirements are the same. They actually flow from the top down. You start with the big business requirements, which answer the question, why are we even doing this? That then breaks down into stakeholder requirements, which answer, what do our users need to be able to do? And finally, those get translated into solution requirements, which answer, okay, what specifically does the software or system have to do? This structure is awesome because it means every single technical detail can be traced all the way back up to the original business goal. All right, let's pull this all together. We've talked about what a BA does and how they do it, but why does it matter so much? The real value of a business analyst isn't just in writing documents, it's in making absolutely sure that the company builds the right thing. This quote just nails it. A stakeholder might come to you and say, I need a new report. A good BA asks, why? They dig deeper to find the actual problem, the underlying need. They don't just take orders, they uncover the root cause. And that is the difference between solving a real problem and just putting a Band-Aid on a symptom. And look, getting this wrong is unbelievably expensive. Some cost models show that just one single misunderstood requirement, especially a high-level one like how reliable the system needs to be, can bloat the total project effort by as much as 40%. That is a massive cost, and it's exactly what all that upfront analysis work is designed to prevent. So, here's the bottom line. A business analyst is so much more than just another box on an org chart. They are the bridge builders. They connect the business vision to the technical reality. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. In your organization, in your work, are you just building things, or are you building bridges?